What's up, you guys? Coming back at y'all with another video. This time I'm going to do something different. I want to give some financial advice to those of you who may be struggling financially or may be wondering, well, how do I get ahead when it comes to trading? You just don't know what to do. You don't necessarily have a good understanding of finance when it comes to Magic the Gathering, and that's perfectly understandable. Even though this is a game, we do pour a lot of money into it and we would like a reasonable return on it. If the day comes that we decide that we no longer want to play it, we are able to return our cards, get some money back for them. May not be exactly what we put into it, but hey, it's something back. And that's the most important thing here, that this video isn't just for people who are obsessed with Magic and who want all the cards in the world. This is for the people who want to make smart financial decisions while also just enjoying this hobby. So the first tip I have here for you guys here is to sort your collections. Now this might not seem like it's going to make you money, which it really doesn't, of course, but when it comes to just being organized with anything in your life, it makes it so much easier to do anything. So when the time comes to sell your collection, you're not just throwing in all these random cards into a box and going up to your local game store to sell them all. You actually have a good understanding of what cards are what sets they came from, what rarities they are, and also what cards are actually worth something, because that's all part of the sorting process as well. It's identifying the sets they come from, identifying, what cards are worth at least $2. That's what I do. I don't really put anything in a binder if it's worth less than $2. I want to actually get some value. Now, sorting is so important, even if it's just for OCD purposes. Sorting is just a good way to keep your mind focused on what really matters. You get all this clutter out of the way and you get to put your decks together. You get to have a good understanding of what cards are where they are. Just for organization purposes, that's so important. The next bit of advice here I have for you guys is paying attention to trends. There are so many different fluctuations in prices in this game, and there are so many different formats, so it happens for different reasons. And not just that, but it happens for rotations and standard. It happens for announcements, it happens for set releases, it happens for Pro Tour results. I mean, it happens for so many different things, and prices change all the time. So it's always good if you get the chance to look up MTG stocks or TCG player prices, anything that you can use to get a good understanding of what your collection is worth. You don't have to know exactly the dollar value, but you would like to know how much you've invested into this game so far, and that is a pretty decent way of doing it. So whenever something happens, like a Pro Tour finish, you know the impact it's going to have on your collection, and you know the impact it's going to have on other people's collections, so when you go to trade with them, you know exactly what the cards are worth. Next, it's also important to buy low and sell high. This is also applicable when it comes to trading. You can trade low and then trade away high. Trade to get cards that are cheaper and then trade your most expensive ones. Right when you feel like the cards kind of hit the plateau in its price and it's not going to go much higher, sell it then or trade it then for other cards that are going to hold their value. There's so much value that's going to be lost in this game for different reasons. It's good to get rid of some of your most liquid assets as well. And this is very important. This next thing we have to talk about, it is when you have to trade with your friends or you go to your local game store and they likely have binders for you to look at. Always know the prices. Don't go off of their word. Don't just guess it either. Look up the price. Look it up through TCG Player, something like that. Any site where you have multiple different single sellers that have pretty much estimated, here's the market price. And that should be the price that you go after and you look to compare when it comes to trading, or if you look to buy cards. Always go by that price. If you can't get it any lower, try to keep it market price. It's fair. You don't really screw anybody over, and you get the accurate pricing on the cards that you're going to trade. So many people out there, whether it's newer players or older players, are dishonest when it comes to trading. They will tell you that a card is worth $20, it's only $10, and you end up losing $10 in total trade value. That's not a good time. Don't fall for it. A lot of opportunists out there that are trying to squeeze as much money out of you as they can. Be the wiser, look it up on the internet. If they complain about it, then don't trade with them. It's that simple. You care about your own financial well-being enough to be sort of thrifty when it comes to your trades. Perfectly reasonable. And here's the next bit of advice. Trade fewer cards for more cards. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, if you have 3 cards that are worth $50 each, and you trade 3 of those cards for, let's say, 30 cards, and those cards right there are worth about $5 each, well, that might not seem like a big deal. You know, you just gave up 3 cards that were worth $50, but you have 30 cards that are worth $5. Now, that's 30 different cards that you have there, and all of those cards have the potential of going up as well as going down. There's a lot of risk associated with investing a lot of money into more expensive cards, and the fewer cards that you have of these means that you don't really have your investments all spread out. It's all clustered in just these 3 cards that are worth a lot of money, whereas you could trade them in for more cards that have, you know, maybe a few dollars worth of value, but you're getting a lot more cards, you're expanding your collection, and you're giving yourself the potential of trading those cards for the future. So you just added way more cards to your collection just by giving up a few really good expensive cards. And each of those cards that you received all have the chance of going up in value. So you have the potential of making a lot more money if you sort of just spread out your investment. And the more cards that you've invested your money in means that the higher potential that you're going to get a decent return off of your collection. And a lot of people want to swindle you out of your money and your value in your cards, and it's easier to do that with these big expensive cards. They can give you half value. They can say, well, I'll buy it for less because this is an expensive card. I want it to be cheaper, you know. So a lot of people can do that with the bigger cards, but when it comes to just like a massive collection of $5 cards, well, it's a lot harder to price gauge that. So you stand to make a lot more money the more cards you have. Now, the next bit of advice here is to invest in standard staples. This may not seem like that big of a deal. Standard is one of the most unpredictable formats. However, if you do your research and you know how to anticipate things in the Magic community, this should be a breeze and you should be able to make a decent amount of money. Now, this isn't always a guaranteed thing. This is very hit and miss. You're going to win a lot of times, but you're going to lose a lot of times as well. However, what I do believe is that standard is the place to be at if you want to make the most money on this game overall. There's such a price fluctuation in standard that's unlike any other format. Modern would be the closest thing to it, but even then, standard just seems to have the bigger impact, especially since the Pro Tour, it just dictates the prices on so many different cards. Pre-Pro Tour and post-Pro Tour, those are the times to really just sort of sell your cards. And the next bit of advice here is to not get distracted by all these special edition foils, and you know, they're good if you have enough money. If you're rich, if you've been playing this game for a long time, then yeah, why not invest in foils? Foils tend to hold their value pretty well. They are super collectible, but it's not something you need to be distracted by. If the card itself is worth something, just be content with the card itself. You don't necessarily need to get foil versions of the card. It's just more money. It's just more money you're going to be spending or trading for to get foils, when really the non-foil version is going to cost you a lot less, and it's still going to be desirable to so many collectors, so many other traders and sellers, local game stores, you know, wherever you go to, it's going to be just as desirable, maybe not as flashy. It's all really about a preference thing. It's not really a necessity. People don't need foils. They are just nice little collector's items that I typically don't play with my foils. I like to keep them in binders, or I put them in a cube just for flashy purposes, but I wouldn't want to invest in them. And the next bit of advice here is don't buy booster packs, especially from Walmart, Target, because the MSRP is around $4 plus tax. I mean, that's just way too much money for a booster pack, when if you buy a booster box, you're likely getting, maybe $2.77 per pack. That's what the average comes out to, so you're saving a whole lot of money, and these are not individual products inside the booster box. You pay all the tax and everything on that booster box, not the individual packs within it, so you save a ton of money just spending $100 on a booster box. So yeah, there's no reason to buy booster packs. You're wasting money. That's money you could be using on singles, on booster boxes, anything that's actually worth it. This is really a no-brainer though, because you want to save as much money as possible. Stop wasting your money on something that just about everybody in the community knows is overpriced. And the next thing here is to buy from your local game store. This may not seem like good advice, spend your money, but really what it comes down to is your local game store is more likely to give you a break on cards than Walmart, Target, online retailers. The personal connection that you make with the store owner or the manager, whoever works at that store, it can go a long ways. You can save money on packs. You can get 3 for $10 deals, which are good if you like buying booster packs, but you can also get deals on booster boxes. You can also get deals on commander decks, just sealed products in general, in addition to getting decent deals on singles as well. Because all you really have to tell them is that, hey, it's either here or going online, TCG Player, something like that, Channel Fireball, Card Kingdom, wherever I go to buy my singles. It's either going to be there or it's going to be here in your store. So really what that incentivizes them to do, it's to give you a break on your cards when you buy them there so that you come back. Because local game stores are struggling right now. Not many of them are successful, and you need to support the ones that are struggling so that they can become more successful. And they will give you deals. They will incentivize you to come back to their store more often than not. And this isn't just Friday Night Magic. This isn't just weekend events, pre-releases, drafts, anything like that. But this is giving deals off of singles, sealed products, stuff like that. Store credit on trades, anything like that, so that you will feel like coming back to the store. And long term, it's more beneficial for you, the buyer, because you save more money on sealed products if you do want to buy sealed products, and you save money on buying singles as well. You can't buy singles at Walmart, can't buy singles at Target. You could buy singles off the internet, but honestly, why pay the extra money for shipping when you can just ask your local game store to match the TCG Player prices? Just try to give your local game store a break here. It's good for the community as a whole. And the final bit of advice here that I have for all of you with collections that are looking to either hold on to value, invest in something long term, it is to hold on to your eternally playable cards. This isn't just reserve list cards. I'm not telling you to invest in the reserve list because it is a slow and steady thing. It's not terrible. You're definitely going to make money off of the reserve list. You will. But holding on to your eternally playable cards, it's a completely different thing than a reserve list. You have cards like narwhals that are on the reserve list that aren't necessarily good investments. However, if you have a card like Mana Crypt, that is an eternally playable card and it will always see play. So investing in cards like those means that people who play Vintage, who play Commander, are more likely going to want to trade with you for those cards. The more formats that your cards are played in means that the higher the demand for that card is going to be, and the easier it's going to be to trade that card. So the liquidity in your assets is also important. You want the most liquid assets because it means that people are going to want to trade with you. It means that you're going to be able to sell your cards a lot more easily, and you're just going to get the most bang for your buck long term. So it's all about making ends meet here. It's all about saving your money. You have other expenses in your life. I hope this video helped you out. Anyway, Void here, signing off. You all have a wonderful day.